Hi, I'm Caitlin Brown, and this is my Family Narrative Project. As I began getting to know my students, the common theme of travel and camping emerged. I discovered that my students all had family traditions of taking camping trips around the state of Texas. I decided to have my students share their experience and expertise on camping through writing a story about their favorite trip and creating a map of their campsite. For my social studies TEKS, I selected 4.6a Geography. The students expected to apply geographic tools including legends, symbols, scales, and compass roses to construct and interpret maps. I also selected 4.7b Geography. The student understands the concept of regions, including their landforms, climate, and vegetation. For my ELAR TEKS, I selected 4.16a. Students write literary text to express their ideas and feelings about real or imagined people, events, and ideas. I also focused on 4.15, the writing process. To begin brainstorming, I asked my students to draw a picture of a place they had been camping and to share their experience with the group. After they had begun thinking about their camping experiences, my students wrote a discovery draft where they wrote down everything they could think of about their trip. They wrote for about 20 minutes without worrying about spelling, organization, capitalization, and things like that. They just focused on sharing their experience. Then, my students began making maps of their campsites to go along with their stories. We examined maps that we use in real life and discussed why we use them. We discussed the difference between point of view in a picture versus a map, and we also talked about the importance of having a legend and compass rose. After the maps were created, my students began revising. I read the story Owl Moon to highlight the use of sensory detail. I asked my students to think about which region of Texas their camping trips take place in. We discussed what each region might feel like as far as climate and what types of vegetation they might see. To record this information, I asked my students to create a graphic organizer to help them add sensory detail to their own stories. They focused on what they see, hear, touch, taste, and smell on their camping trips. After my students revised for sensory detail, they edited for proper punctuation. Before editing their own stories, I guided my students in editing a paper I had created to practice checking for mistakes such as run-on sentences and missing periods. Once my students completed their editing, they began to publish. I reminded them to use their neatest handwriting and to take their time to showcase their best work.
When I first arrived at the cabin, I saw it was all white and huge. There was a big TV, a bar with a TV, a pool, and many rooms. First, I went to go get dressed to get in the pool. I jumped in, and the water was ice cold, and it felt like something that should be in Antarctica. But it got warm in a while. I was in the pool with my three cousins for about an hour. I got out and took a shower and went outside to play baseball. After that, I played football for a long time with my cousin. Then I went to bed. When I woke up in the morning, I was supposed to be leaving, but it was flooding like crazy. I went to go wake up my mom, and she started panicking. All of the adults started talking about what to do. They all said we were going to stay another day. I got excited since we were staying another day.
Me and my cousins went to the beach. We heard the waves. It sounded smooth. It was very good. The jar that was on the beach, every person could not reach. Then the jar that was on the beach, then we finally got the jar. We made some hot dogs on the beach. When we were done, we made some delicious s'mores. Then we saw a crab, not a scared crab, but a glare crab. He was not shy, but a brave crab. He pinched my arm. Ow, I said. It hurt my arm. I had a bruise. We rode back home within a flash the next day.
I will use what I have learned in this project to help guide my instruction as an educator to incorporate all students' funds of knowledge to create a more enriched and meaningful learning experience.